What's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk about a game that I've actually been trying to talk about for a while now, and I think instead of making a full-blown review discussing graphics, story, combat, and gameplay, I'm just gonna ramble on without really a script, so it's gonna be a little different than my other videos. But that game, of course, as you can see by the title, is Phantasy Star Online New Genesis, which is sort of a sequel to Phantasy Star Online 2. But I think that New Genesis is so much better than Phantasy Star Online 2, and we're gonna go over why. Let me just start off by saying I've been in an MMO mood lately for like the last couple months, and I think it's important just to squeeze an MMO in there, you know, around your normal games. Like you play an MMO, you grind a few levels, then you jump back into the main game you're playing, whether it be Call of Duty, shooter, JRPG. In my case, I've been playing Tales of Arise lately. Anyway, I'm rambling on. You see, this is why it's important to have a script, but we're not gonna do a script today. And let me know if you like this format. Let's see, it's been about a minute and a half and I've discussed nothing. Yeah, so first and foremost, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, the graphics. The graphics are amazing compared to WoW. The graphics in Phantasy Star Online make WoW look like, you can't compare. That's number one. SEGA just knows how to make a good looking game. And I think that's why they lasted this long, even though they no longer make consoles, but I think they just know how to make an arcadey style game when it comes to sound, graphics, and game design, really. And that's what you're gonna get here. The graphics are nice, the characters are huge, they're nicely detailed, and honestly it looks and it plays like a console single player game. It's only on a few instances that you'll really tell that this is an online MMO. You know, it has that online MMO jank. You got areas like Mount Magnus, which is my favorite looking area, because everything is sort of colorful and the character stands out. The setting is red and the enemies are cool, which, I mean, they do recycle enemies through every area, but you do get lost in other areas like the forest. The forest doesn't do the graphics justice, I should say. You know, obviously, so graphics are important to me in an MMO. MMOs are very repetitive by nature after a while, so it's nice for it to look good. That's why I really enjoyed Black Desert. Black Desert looked great. Same case here. It looked like a console single player story game. But for some reason I didn't stick with Black Desert because it got too repetitive, and I looked at reviews and the end game wasn't all that. It could be that the game was super large, and that brings me to my next point. Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is not that content heavy. It's pretty short. It's level 1 to 20. You'll get to level 10 pretty quickly, and then you do actually enter a grind. And by grind I mean the game does have leveling up mechanics, but not your typical level up mechanics. It's sort of like the light levels in Destiny, where the equipment is really the strength of your equipment is really how strong your character is. So Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis does have levels, you know, which you gain experience points by defeating enemies, but the real way to level up is to level up your equipment, and you do so by, let's say you have a machine gun and you level it up by picking up other machine guns, and you use those and you basically feed your machine gun or your main weapon other weapons to level that up, and that'll increase your battle power. Yeah, battle power. And so you can do the same with the weapons, your main weapon, your secondary weapon, and your third weapon actually, and your armor. So that's how you level up more so. And that becomes a grind because let's say you put 5 weapons into your main weapon, that'll increase your battle power only a couple points. And you go from needing to be, let's say for example, 900 battle power to 1100 battle power. So that's gonna take you a while, and that's a grind. So if you're not a fan of grinding, definitely don't play Phantasy Star Online New Genesis. Whew, that was a mouthful. So the responsive controls is what I wanted to talk about next, which it ties with the grinding and the whole single player just polish of this game. The controls are solid. I think that's super important when you're playing an MMO. It keeps everything responsive, and it ties with what I said earlier about SEGA just being able to create an arcadey experience. You know, it's not over simulated. It's not trying to be super realistic. It knows it's a video game. It's arcadey, you know, and the controls definitely reflect that. And for fighting, you got your main weapon, which you can fire. I'm using ranged fighter, which is amazing. I try not to go melee because I feel like I've done melee my entire life. I wanted to try something new, so I tried a ranged fighter, and it actually worked out. So your main weapon fires when you're a ranged fighter, and you can do so with the primary mouse button. You fire your weapon. But there's also different skills you can use which take up PP points, and which you generate PP points by normal firing. So for example, you use your skills and that takes away PP points, you know. So there really is no magic power to manage, or magic points really to manage. You know, it's pretty fluid how they keep the combat. You're always either shooting off skills or shooting your main weapon. You will learn, you know, how to balance the two. So your typical day playing Phantasy Star Online 2 will consist of loading into the main city, the central hub, or the tower if you're a Destiny fan. You got your vendors, your item shop, your class shop, where you can change your classes. Yep, you can change your classes. You can do your main class, which is your ranger, and then pick a secondary class, which levels up slightly slower than your main class. And for me, I just like one class. Call me a one-trick pony, if you will, but I like mastering at least one class. And then maybe in the future I'll switch off to a new class. But like I said, for now I'm really in love with the Ranger class. It's got everything I need. Anyway, so you got your skill tree, and so you put points into your skill tree, and that'll actually increase your battle power as well. So how to get skill points is different. I like how they did it, which, it's not that great how they gave you the ability to gain skill points. You actually have to do these towers around the map, and they're sort of like challenges in like a VR mission type of setting. So you do those and you gain a skill point, then you apply that, depending how hard that area was, then you apply that to the skill tree and you gain battle power that way. You really can't just level up by mashing away at enemies. You have to think a little bit, slightly. It's not that complicated, to be honest. And that's what I like. You can just zone out. You can fight enemies for an hour, you know, and you'll at the end of the day, you'll find yourself with a bunch of weapons you can put into your character to level him up skill-wise, or no, I'm sorry, battle power-wise. And then they have this thing that's called PvE, or the environment PvE level. So what it does is a gauge that fills up as you fight enemies in the environment. And when that fully fills up, the enemies get harder, and then the enemy drops start to get rarer. So you do that, and I guess that promotes fighting. Obviously that promotes grinding, that promotes just running around fighting enemies, and you'll find yourself with a group after a while, which, I mean, lately I haven't been finding myself with a group. I don't know if the community dropped off slightly due to the fact that the game is not really that heavy in content. So that leads me to my last point, which is the content. I don't know, is it my last point? I don't know, I might mention a few more other things if I look at my notes here. It's light on content, which I think is a good thing for now, because anybody can get into it and catch up right away. I don't know when they plan on releasing new content, but if you are a new player and you're considering Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, do it, because it's not that hard to just catch up with all the content that's currently for offer. And also, it's free. The game is free, so you really got nothing to lose. It's a free game, well made, good graphics, not too heavy on content for now, so you can catch up to the rest of the world, and it plays like a single story game. And I think it makes other MMOs look sad, with the exception of Black Desert, graphically. I mean, I guess we can talk about the story. The story really immersed me in the beginning, which really the story only acts as the tutorial. The story during the tutorial was good. It felt like a JRPG, really. And you know, you get into this new area, you get beamed down from outer space, you don't know why you're there, you lost your memory, ha ha ha, cliche. And so you're helping out this town that gets attacked by the enemies. And so basically what you're doing is you're clearing out enemies. So that serves as a purpose of just clearing out enemies and clearing out enemies and clearing out enemies to save this world. Which, I mean, I gotta admit, it hooked me in the beginning. Currently, I really don't care about the story. And one last thing that I think that separates PSO New Genesis from the rest is there's a heavy emphasis on platforming. There is a double jump, and there's a double jump. If you hold the second jump, you also glide. So they do a heavy emphasis on platforming, which is, you know, depending on you, you might like that. I love it because it adds another layer of, number one, exploring and traveling. So I think there's a lot to be had here. For now, plan on grinding from level 10 through 20, but it's not a big deal. You know, if you're the type to just zone out while you play a video game, I think this is for you. Again, it's free. And who knows the content they're gonna add. I'm not on any forums or anything for PSO, so I don't know what they're adding soon. I just play the game and I'm enjoying it for what it is. And that's it. So I guess you could say this was sort of like a podcast. I guess this is me practicing my rambling skills. If you enjoyed the video, if you're a fan of the channel, you probably enjoyed it because you already know how different this kind of video is. If you're new to the channel, you might just think, who's this guy rambling on, speaking nonsensically about a video game? But hey, check out my other videos, check out my other reviews. I'll keep you up to date on PSO, NG, New Genesis as we go. And that's it. See you in the next one. Thank you for watching.